starting Metal Shelf today with the honor of receiving the multi-instrumentist Magnus Gressor. Thank you for joining us at Metal Shelf, Magnus.
Oh, no problem at all. It's my pleasure.
And as you know, I asked Magnus to choose some of 5 favorite albums of his collection. I guess it was not his choice, but...
Yeah, that was a very hard choice. Harder than I thought, actually. I discussed it with my girlfriend quite a bit, and I came up with 5 favorites, I'd say.
Nice. And how you build this collection before you talk about the 5 albums?
Well, I guess I started buying CDs, because I got into music quite early, because in Kolbotn where I grew up, then when I was a kid, then kind of rock and metal, that was what was cool. So the older kids had long hair and that sort of stuff. So obviously we also started buying CDs and got into Metallica and those sort of bands. And I think my first record I bought probably at the age of 13 or 14, I think. But I didn't get the record player until a little bit later, maybe 15. So I had a couple of records, but I couldn't listen to them though. So actually one of my first ever records, I'm going to show you that later, which was the first good record that I bought, I guess. Because I had some kind of bad ones to start out with.
And how born your interest into metal?
I think a big reason is probably just because of in Kolbotn then we had this youth center, and the guy who ran the youth center, he played drums, so he was very interested in getting all the kids into playing instruments as well. So my brother, I think pretty much all kids, mostly guys I guess though, started playing instruments, and then most of them stopped, whilst me and a few friends kept going with it. So I started playing guitar when I was 10, and then I discovered Metallica and those sort of bands.
And how you moved to the drums?
Well, drums was really just... I tried out playing drums for a bit quite early, but then I kind of put it on hold. But then when I met my friend Jonas, we had a band together called Mion, and that's when I really started playing drums, just because we didn't have a drummer. So I just had to start getting into it again, so we had someone to play drums. And that's very simple music as well. It's kind of Hellhammer inspired, which is just like mid-pace all along. So I've never been a drummer per se, but I just pick it up whenever we don't have anyone else to do it, I guess.
It's someone needs to do, right, the job?
Yeah, that's right.
So let's just start from the 50th, I would say, to the first one of your collection. What you have for us?
Okay, so I was a little bit uncertain how to choose these records. Whether it should be like records that I have a story related to or something like that, or if I should just choose the best records I know. And I decided to choose records that have all been, at some point, been a favorite record of mine. I guess it's from the age of 15 up until now, pretty much. So the first one, this isn't the record that I heard when I was 15, but it was a record that I looked for it for a long time, because it was quite expensive, and it is Sadistic Intent. It's kind of a compilation record. It's a resurrection of the Ancient Black Earth, which is a collection of the Ancient Black Earth EP and the Resurrection EP, because they've never released an album, even though they played for over 30 years. So this was an album that I first saw Sadistic Intent when I was 16, I think, when they played in Oslo, and it was I think it was the first, I guess you could say, like underground concert that I went to, because Proxy, who booked the show, had made sure that we could get in even though we were 16. And at the time I liked it, but I didn't really understand it, I think, because it's very sinister sounding. It's probably the darkest record I've ever heard, almost.
And the cover is also pretty dark.
Yeah.
And they have 666.
Yeah, 666 copies. Yeah. This is. I feel like, to me, Sadistic Intent is one of the most underrated bands I know, because it's just top-notch death metal, but they've never really gotten the recognition they deserve, because they never released an album. They've only made EPs. And this one is limited to 666 copies. It's on Iron Pegasus Records. It's printed in the year 2000, which it was 2 years after, I think, Ancient Black Earth. 2 or 3 years after. And it's actually the only vinyl release of that EP. So it was released on CD to start with, if I'm not mistaken. So it was kind of the only way I could get the 3 songs on that EP on vinyl. And obviously the Resurrection part as well is great.
It's pretty evil, huh?
Yeah. The only downside though is the fact that the actual record is transparent. I hate transparent records. But
I think it's elegant, kind of minimal in a balance with the very evil cover.
yeah, well I guess it kind of suits the cover too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only downside, but I love this record. And I think this, along with the other ones I've chosen, I think people who know me would probably snicker a bit because they would probably be able to guess every single record I've chosen today. But, yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, this is a big favorite of mine.
So
Sadistic Intent.
Intent.
From LA.
Resurrection of the Ancient Black Earth.
Yeah.
50th album.
Very, very dark record.
And now what you have in the 4th place?
In 4th place, this is a big favorite of mine. A record that really made a very big impact on me, and it is Destruction, Infernal Overkill.
Big 4 of German.
Yeah, well, to me this is probably the best thrash metal record of all time, because nothing really sounds like it, and it's I like to call it I haven't heard anyone else say this, but I like to call it assassin metal, because it's so sneaky sounding compared to other
Assassin metal.
yeah. The singer Schmier, he sounds like an assassin, I think. And this is, it's not the first print, but it is from '85, the Steamhammer version. And this is a must-have, I'd say, because when in my old band Condor, it was very much of like a turning point when we finally got into this record. I'd known it for years, but I never really understood how good it was until quite late, actually. I think maybe I would have been 19 or 20 when I actually realized how good it was. It made such a difference for me because just the way the riffs are made and the song structures and like the simplicity, but yet kind of complex as well. Nothing else sounds like it, and I don't think anyone has really tried to sound like it either. Maybe they have, but no one has succeeded at least. Great album, I think. Top 1 thrash metal album, for sure.
Destruction, Infernal Overkill.
Yeah.
I must have it for all the thrashers.
And obviously, I don't think any other band has ever looked... I thought it was an inlay, there's no inlay. But they've never looked as cool as this. So many bullets, studs everywhere. That's the way to go.
The way to go.
Yeah.
And
that's
for the 3rd place, what you have here?
The 3rd place.
Norwegian band, I see.
Yes, this is the first good album that I bought. I think I guess it's actually the 2nd album I bought, but it was the first one worth mentioning, which is Aura Noir, Black Thrash Attack. We bought this. I remember when I bought this, it was the first time we went to Nesebro Records. We had gone to this shop in the city, which was at the time, I guess we would have been 14 or 15, I think. We went to the one shop in the city that we knew where you could buy merch and those sort of things. Which was called, I can't remember what it's called right now. But then we asked if they had anything about Aura Noir. Because I had seen Aura Noir, a guy that was older than me in school. He was wearing Aura Noir sweater and it said the ugliest band in the world on the back. And I thought that sounded pretty cool, so that's why I checked it out. And when we were at this shop, he said that we could go to Nesebro. And obviously it was before GPS and those sort of things. But he kind of explained where it was. So we made our way through the city and we eventually ended up at Nesebro. And I think that was when this had just been pressed, I think. And it was the first re-release of this record on vinyl, if I'm not mistaken. So I bought a shirt, also Black Thrash Attack, and I bought the record.
With the ugliest band in the world there in the back, of course.
Yeah. It's I think to me this is, if not the best, but at least one of the best Norwegian albums of all time. And it's quite a groundbreaking record. I'd say. Just a perfect mix between black metal and thrash metal. I guess after black metal was more defined in the 90s and all those sort of things. This is, I don't really like the color here either, because my friend Herman has just ingrained in me that color vinyl is bad, and it's blue.
It's a nice color.
But oh well. It's just some records, especially a record like that's this dark.
Should be maybe red to fit with the...
Yeah, red would be good. But also black,
Black.
I think, yeah. That's a...
To fit with the black thrash metal.
Yes. And I guess for anyone who's heard bands that I played in, well, especially the band I did play in before, Condor, which is also named after an Noir song as well, you could definitely tell that this was our main source of inspiration when we started. We pretty much just wanted to sound like Noir.
So, Noir, Black Thrasher Attack.
Yes. Classic record.
Norwegian metal band.
Mm.
And the second place, what you have here?
This was a really hard one to choose between these two. And again, I think anyone who knows me will probably laugh now, because it's so obvious that this is what I've chosen, because I talk about it all the time. But this is Morbid Angel, Authors of Madness, which is one of my absolute favorite records of all time. And kind of similarly to the Sadistic Intent one, I heard this at quite a young age, probably at the age of maybe 16. And I always liked it, but I didn't really understand how good it was until maybe 5 years ago or so, when something just kind of clicked, and I just understood how unique it was, and how in the same way there's just nothing that sounds like it, and if it does, it's just rip-off, because you can't make something this unique again without just ripping them off. And everything about it is great. The artwork, awesome artwork, and the playing is one of the tightest records I've ever heard, I think.
Yes, if I'm not wrong, I think on this album they also make to try to kind of not a satanic Bible, but kind of there is sources on the ancient scripts of dark rituals.
Yeah.
To make this album.
Yeah, there's heaps of Lovecraft in here.
Yeah.
They were really into that, and I guess this is the first recording where Pete Sandoval, the drummer, played, and he's obviously just a machine. And also here my two favorite guitarists, Trey Asagtot and Richard Brunel, which just kind of took the whole Slayer thing to a new level. They just took everything that was the most mental about the guitar solos in Slayer and just took it 10 steps further. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this record. It's just perfect from start to finish. And this version, this is not the first press either, but it is from 1989. And actually I got this record as a Christmas gift from my girlfriend.
Your friend with amazing taste in music and gifts, Valley.
Yeah, and she had ordered this from Discogs, but when it arrived, she had actually been sent Blessed Are the Sick, which is the second Morbid Angel record. So I contacted the seller and said that he had sent the wrong record. So he sent us this, the one I was supposed to get, and wanted me to pay for shipping to send back Blessed Are the Sick. And I said, fuck no, of course not,
no.
Because you fucked up, not us.
Mm-hmm.
So now I suddenly have both this and Blessed Are the Sick on, if not the first press, but at least second or third press. And the other one for free, so that's pretty good.
Nice. So Morbid Angel, Altars of Madness.
Yes.
One
great record.
Great record from death metal style. And now, what you have for the first place here on Metal Shelf, Magnus?
This is the creme de la creme, people. And
oh la la!
This is my favorite record of all time, which is Sarcophago, Inri from Brazil.
Brazil!
Yes. And this is a record that, well, I guess this is kind of the whole theme throughout all my records, is that it's also one that I'd heard at a young age, but it was just too much for me to comprehend at the time, I think. And it was my friend Krib, who, when I used to hang out in his old share house, he would once in a while would put on this because it was kind of the holy grail up in Hamar, where he's from, it seems like. And for a long time it was just too chaotic and too extreme for me. but then just something clicked when I heard the song Indri, the end of the song when it says fuck you, Jesus Christ, and that just got stuck in my head. And this was a major turning point for me actually. This is kind of when I guess I expanded my horizons to some extent. When the drumming on this record went from being just chaos to something that actually enhances the whole record. And this is no original or anything though, because that's way too expensive, I can't afford that. So this is some repress from Grey Haze Records. But it's everything,
beautiful.
yeah, and just aesthetics of it, how they're like 18 years old and they made the most outrageous and extreme album of all time. And to me, like this, because there's music that's probably more extreme and more chaotic, but then to me it sounds like it's just for the sake of being chaotic, whilst this is just like this youthful chaos it's just completely unhinged. And it's really punky and it's really catchy, so it's not like a lot of, at least in my mind, war metal bands where you can't even hear what they're playing, you can't really hear the vocals or anything like that. But here you can hear everything, but it's just chaos, because they can play fast, but that's what they know how to do, sort of thing. So this is probably the world's best album, I'd say. At least up there. It's hard to decide which one is the best, I guess. The Sarcophago Inri. That is the bee's knees, as they say in Australia.
The cherry cake of Brazil.
Yeah, and there's actually a few of those like Brazilian bands that all were very difficult for me to understand to start with, like Volcano and Sex Thrash and those sort of bands. And I like them all now, but Inri is still just
the top.
On the top, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think without the Sarcophago, maybe the black metal as you know today would not happen at all.
No, I don't think so. And yeah, because I guess you see pictures of the old like Norwegian black metal bands, and they wear Sarcophago shirts, and I think they were very inspired by these guys.
Even Euronymous, he was using Sarcophago shirts many times in some pictures. But well, nice collection, very extreme.
Yeah.
I like it. There's any other album or band that you think that you should mention from your collection?
Well, yeah, there were quite a few actually. I'll pull out two. Was also in the mix, which was Sadus Illusions, which is a great album. I heard this very early, and what's funny about this is that it's the original pressing, but the seller didn't know that it was actually signed by all the members.
Oh.
So I bought it from him, and it didn't say anywhere, he didn't mention it or anything like that, but it's actually signed by all of them.
Wow.
That was up there, and also this one, which I just got, which is one of my favorite releases.
So, Sadus Illusions.
Yeah, that's an American thrash metal classic, and also this, which I just got, which I've been looking for a long time.
Wow.
Just Morbid Angel, Thy Kingdom Come. It's a bootleg. It sounds good, and it has all 3 songs. But I decided not to include it because I didn't want 2 Morbid Angel records.
And now you have.
Yeah, now I have anyways. I actually have 3 versions of this. I have 2 7-inches and the tape. But it's just, this is the one that sounds the best. So I wanted to include that one as well. But,
well, thank you so much for sharing these pearls with us. And let's talk a little bit about your music projects. Because you have been recording in Australia, in Melbourne, right?
Yes.
With Hecatomb.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to talk a little bit about your musical projects, like Hecatomb and another one that you have in Norway. How is going this?
Yeah, so Hecatomb, I guess this is this is a tape, Hecatomb. This was my homage to Indri. We made this only pretty much as to hail that record, because I don't know any other bands that have been able to sound like Sarcophago, or especially that record. And I'm not saying we succeeded, but we tried. At least we tried very hard. And so it was me and my friend Rick in Melbourne, and I played drums and did the vocals and the bass, and he played guitars.
So basically, you play like a family's way of doing everything.
Yeah, well, I guess it was very much my vision, this music, because I'd been planning it for a few years, but I was never able to play the drums to do it, and it's very hard for me, at least, to learn how to do it without having someone to play with. So we did it, I guess we did it for about a year, and then we spent ages finishing up the tape, because we re-recorded stuff, and then the guy we recorded with didn't send it to us, so we had to do it again, and so it took almost a year and a half from we started recording until
So you need to record twice?
Yeah, we did. When we recorded initially, we did drums and guitars. We did it live, and it sounded really shit. Really shit. I don't know what it was. It was something, maybe the drum kit we used and the amp or something like that. And we did the bass as well, but the bass didn't work out, so I re-recorded the bass. I actually re-recorded the bass 3 times, because the first time then the computer stopped working in the middle of the recording, and then the second time the guy just never sent us the clips. So then I recorded it again here in Norway, and then we had to do vocals, which I had never done before, but I just tried as well as I could. I was inspired by my friend Jonas, who has one of the most psychotic sounding vocals I know, so I just had to try and give it everything.
Jonas from which band?
He plays in Flight, and we played together in a band called Mines Hill. And he had a punk band called Force as well. And he has Abuse, that was his first band, and he used to play live with Gouge, this death metal band from Kolbotn. Yeah, so I was quite happy with how it turned out, especially considering we both played a bit above our skill level, I guess, because I'm no drummer. I know how to play fast, but that's it. But I think maybe that adds to the charm, that it's kind of rough and...
Nice. And so Hecatomb from Melbourne, but recorded in Melbourne and also in Norway, right?
Yes.
And what's your new project? Because you are recording a new album here in Oslo, right?
Yeah. This is it's a death metal band called Abhorration. I'm playing with Øyvind, who I also played with in Condor, he was the drummer there, and with Andreas Hagen, he's the one that mixed this, actually, the guy that mixed this. He recorded the vocals and the bass with us and did the mix. So there I play guitars and I sing, and then Øyvind plays drums and Andreas plays bass. And we're going to record a demo next weekend, actually.
Pretty soon. Yeah, we are recording this in the end of May 2021. So I hope this album comes soon. Probably this recorded would be on YouTube before the end of the EP.
Yeah.
But so you can expect some evil death metal, like.
Yeah. I've actually, for that band, I have 2 main inspirations, and I've showed you both of them already. But I guess these 2 albums are the main inspirations for that band, I'd say.
So we're gonna get the high expectations, huh?
Yeah. So I'm just, because I was listening so much to this, me and Rick in Melbourne, we listened to these records all the time before I moved back to Norway, so it was kind of just natural to start playing that sort of music.
Nice.
So hopefully that will turn out well.
And where you can find this material, like from the website of Hecatomb and also for this new band?
Well, from Hecatomb now, we have our page, which is, I think it is Hecatomb 666, obviously, .bandcamp.com. And also, this demo is actually being re-released on Invictus Records. Well, it's already been re-released actually, on vinyl and CD from Invictus, so you can hear it from their pages as well.
Nice.
And I guess we'll make a Bandcamp page for the new band once the time comes. I haven't made anything yet though, because we don't have anything recorded.
And for Condor?
Condor, then that's condornorway.bandcamp.com. And I don't know if the Mines Hill one is still up, so YouTube, I guess.
And like so repeat again the name of the new band?
It's called Abhorration.
Abhorration.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Magnus, for all this evil and nice piece of albums that you share with us.
No problem.
And you should check Abhorration coming soon.
Yeah.
And that's all. Metal Shelf!
Yes.